Part 18. Mysterious Journey. Author, Gunkai. Chapter 172. This place has reached a restricted area for ordinary people. Without Senior Palash's special secret medicine, it is impossible to enter the depths of the mountains alone, the leader in white explained in a low voice. All the areas in front are filled with a poisonous gas of unknown composition. People who don't have the secret medicine will die of ulcers all over their bodies. He glanced at Galen. Of course, Mr. Galen's physical condition is not certain. Garin and others did not take it seriously. Garin himself had acquiesced. As a general of the Nantian Holy Fist sect, he was also one of them. This time he came here with the intention of communicating with fellow martial arts. But at their level, no matter who loses or wins, the impact will be huge. Therefore, the leader of the Nantian Holy Fist sect picked up Garin and others in advance and headed to the depths of Yunqi Mountain in order to avoid and reduce this impact as much as possible. Entering the mountains quietly in advance may not necessarily be able to hide it from everyone, but at least most people will not know about it, and then isolating the poisonous gas area will once again achieve the purpose of hiding more people. The battle between Garin and the Whitebird Holy Fist has long been classified as the top secret in the section except for the sect leaders and elders who led the team. No one else is allowed to watch the battle. Garin only brought Leo and Cynthia Jack with him. Cynthia Jack was carefree to begin with, and she didn't understand martial arts at the fighter level at all, so it didn't matter. Leo was brought here specifically by Garin in order to train him to be a truly capable subordinate. After briefly explaining some precautions, the man in white continued to lead the way deeper into Yunqi Mountain. The group of them set off at 3 o'clock last night and have only just entered the depths of Yunqi Mountain. There is still a long way to go to Yunqishan Falls. As we continued on our way, some light green smoke like mist gradually appeared in the air. Most of it is diffused on the surface of the lake, and part of it is scattered among the trees, like strands of translucent threads floating in the air. The Galans placed the small bottles tightly under their noses, and the light green grassy fragrance blocked out all external air. Even so, Cynthia and Jack felt itchy skin all over their bodies, and both of them were frightened and a little nervous. Garin frowned, and suddenly stretched out his right hand, and pinched a thin green thread with precision. The green line shot out from the forest on the left and went straight to the neck of a woman in white in front. Hiss! The thin thread twisted and twisted in Garin's hand, making a snake-like sound. Only then did the man in white, Cynthia and others notice this mysterious and unusual creature. It is just like a green wire, with no head and tail, just a green wire, constantly twisting and twisting, and I don't know where the sound comes from. If it didn't move, no one would think it was alive. Green worm, the face of the man in white who took the lead changed. Kylan, did you bring any iron products in here? He immediately looked at the woman in white who was attacked with a stern look. I just wore a blue iron ring. This was a birthday gift from my son Kylan, the woman in white said hesitantly. Blue iron ring? I think you really don't want to live anymore, the leader in white said angrily. Take it out quickly and throw it away. Do you know that if it hadn't been for Mr. Galen just now, you would have died? Green nematodes like iron products best. You don't have enough strength and still carry an iron ring. You are really impatient, right? I'm sorry. Kylan immediately took out the blue iron ring from her hand in a hurry and threw it far into the woods. Soon, a large number of blue lines in the woods rushed towards the ring ferociously, quickly wrapping it into a fist-sized ball of green thread, which was still squirming and twisting. Everyone was a little creepy. Garin frowned and looked at the green silk thread wrapped around his finger, which was like a slender green wire and felt very hard. He reached out with his other hand to grab the green threadworm and pulled it gently. Not ordinary solid. Moreover, the threads on both sides of the green threadworm were still pricking into the skin, as if they were trying to get into the blood vessels of Galen's hands. The drill points it chooses are all located where the Galen cyan blood vessels are located. Ding ding. The sound of tiny needle points hitting the metal surface continued to sound, making the people around them feel horrified. Especially the few people in white, not looking at the green thread worms, but looking at galleons. They are all very aware of the power and terror of the green thread worm. This monster insect has a very high body strength, strong power, and a sharp tip. Such a puncture can even pierce a steel plate as thick as a fingernail. But facing Garen's skin, it just made such a weird impact sound. Watching the green worms attacking Galleon in vain again and again, several people in white felt their teeth were a little sore. This kind of insect. Garen frowned. Leo, Cynthia, Jack. You must be careful not to be attacked by them. Have you removed all the iron products from your body? Yes. Not a single one was left. Leo also nodded affirmatively. I'll kill them as they come at me. He wore thick, matte black gloves on his hands. Be careful. This kind of insect is a bit troublesome. Garen's frown deepened. He grabbed both ends of the green thread worm with both hands and pulled gently. Boom. With a slight cracking sound, the green thread worm was immediately pulled into two pieces. But the strange thing is that the two green worms are still twisting and squirming, seemingly unaffected at all. It also divided into two individuals, attacking the blood vessels of Garen's hands respectively. What a tenacious vitality! Garen clasped his palms together, like a millstone spinning, and with a few hisses, the green nematodes were ground into green powder, which fell out from the palms of his hands. Mr. Garen, there are still some minor troubles ahead. Please be careful with your friends, the leading man in white warned cautiously. The woman in white named Kylan was ordered to go back and leave. The remaining people continued on their way. Soon, Garen and his party saw some more troublesome creatures one after another. A black spider the size of a wash basin. The white carp with its mouth full of fangs stares greedily at everyone by the lake. Egg-sized black ants in the bush. All kinds of exaggerated and terrifying insect creatures continue to appear in front of everyone. Cynthia and Jack were so frightened that they were tense and alert at any time. Even boxing champion Leo's scalp was numb, and he let out a faint aura, trying his best to deter some creatures from approaching. Once these poisonous insects get close to him, even if he is a fighter, he will probably be in big trouble. Only Garen, although he was amazed in his heart, kept his face calm and continued to follow the man in white calmly. The clothes distributed by the men in white are specially made and can prevent attacks by many poisonous insects. Garen did not completely cover his body with such clothes, so from time to time some strange flying insects would bite him. But as soon as it touched his skin, he was paralyzed and bounced away naturally. By the time it fell to the ground, it would have died immediately. At the Galen level, the terrifying counter-shock force of physical hard Qigong alone can directly eliminate these poisonous insects. To him, as long as the defense is not broken, there is no threat. Now, his energy and spirit are integrated, running and nourishing his body all the time, and even his fragile internal organs are constantly strengthening. The group of people walked from morning to noon. After eating some dried meat bread they brought with them, they continued on their way. It was not until the afternoon that the rumbling sound of the water gradually increased in front. The further we walked, the rumbling grew louder and louder. After turning a few corners, everyone soon came to the side of the lake's break. The lake water on the right tumbled down from the height of the cliff, forming a large white waterfall with a diameter of more than 30 meters, crashing into the light green pool at the bottom. Several people walked down the forest path on the left side of the waterfall, and soon came to a large white rock beside the pool. The waterfall is like a white cloth tens of meters high, hanging on the black cliff. Below, in front of the oval light green pool, a short old man in white is sitting on the rock with a fishing rod and fishing. The old man sat there motionless, only the fishing rod moved slightly from time to time due to the rapid flow of water. Garen followed the man in white and stood behind the old man. His eyesight was amazing, and he could vaguely see large dark green insects swimming in the pool. This bug is like an enlarged version of a loquat bug, with 8 short legs and a hard shell on its back. The bodies are round and each one is the size of a basin. When the old man heard the sound behind him, he gently put down the fishing rod, pressed it down with a big stone, and then stood up and turned around. "It's been a long time since you came to my place, little Bundy, and you've grown so big in a blink of an eye." He looked at the man in white who was leading the way. "It's all under Grandpa's care." The man in white who took the lead lowered his head and answered as if he were a junior. "Did you bring outsiders here?" The old man suddenly looked at the 4 gallons and his eyes focused. His eyes instantly focused on Garin and Leo. "Are they also members of our sect?" Garin frowned. This old man has probably lived in seclusion in the mountains for too long. He doesn't care about the outside world, knows nothing, and is completely isolated from the world. They actually don't know why they are here. "Senior Whitebird Holy Fist Parasha?" he asked directly. "My name is Garin." The old man was slightly startled. "It's been a long time since anyone called me a nickname so directly." He smiled. "What's the matter with you? Judging from your age, you can actually achieve such courage. You must not be from an ordinary background, right?" "I'm here to ask my senior for martial arts advice." Garin took a step forward and stood in front of everyone. The man in white stepped back consciously, and at the same time motioned for the others to step back as well, leaving space for the 2 of them. Garin stood with his hands behind his back. "I have fought against Anceloto twice. He admires you very much and thinks that you are the strongest fighter of our generation and represent the pinnacle of martial arts. As the strongest person of the younger generation, I hope to ask you for some martial arts advice." Ansara, Palasha's wrinkled face revealed a trace of memory. "That's a very powerful genius. He was very conceited back then. The relationship between me and him has never been good. I didn't expect that he would comment on an old man like me like this. I really didn't expect it." He came back to his senses, his eyes fell on Garin's hands, and he shook his head slightly. "It's a pity. I already sealed my fist a year ago. Just leave. I won't fight with you." Mysterious Journey. Author, Gunkai. Chapter 173. Garin's face darkened. The Palasha in front of him looked like a very ordinary little old man, with a kind face and kind eyes. He had no trace of a fighter or any incomparable courage. It's just that he understands that being able to survive in such a terrifying and harsh environment and still seem to be living well is not something that ordinary people can do. Sealing the fist a year ago. "Senior Palasha, I am also one of the heavenly generals of Nantian Holy Fist section. As a fellow disciple, communication should not be included in the scope of sealing the fist, right?" Palasha smiled. "My child, my boxing skills are completely different from yours. Your boxing skills and secret martial arts have truly reached their peak. I can see that your hard Qigong has almost reached the level of Ansara. You can reach it at your age. At the Ansara level in your prime, you have already stood at the top of the entire federation. At this point, I actually understand what you want to pursue. Unfortunately, I am not the direction you pursue. What I want to see is also what I want to see." Garin was silent for a moment. He understood what Palasha meant. He also did not go further. "I still want to see what the rumored undefeated Whitebird Holy Fist is like. Whitebird Fist and Holy Fist are just false names given to me by other colleagues. I am only good at one kind of boxing, and that is Whitebird Fist." Palasha replied with a smile. "I am not as talented as Anceloto, nor as good as Watson. The talent in the mirror is terrifying. The only thing I am good at is Whitebird boxing. In this life, all my energy and all my time have been focused on this boxing technique. I have sealed my fist and will never fight you again. But I can demonstrate it to you once." Demo. Garin narrowed his eyes. "Each generation in the secret martial arts world is not as good as the last, right Garin? I will demonstrate it to you with 1/10 of my strength." You have to see clearly. Palasha smiled gently and slowly walked to the left side. In front of a large blue stone. Look, this is my realm. Palasha raised his right hand and pointed his index finger forward. A little. Everything around him froze instantly. Air, water, bugs, grass. There were also various sounds coming from afar. Even the huge white waterfall froze and paused for a moment. Everyone was frozen for a moment. There was no thought or movement. His whole body seemed to be surrounded by solidified amber. He couldn't move or think about anything. Time seemed to stop at this moment. Boom! A large black aura suddenly swelled up on Palasha's body, like invisible smoke. The black smoke gathered and condensed behind Palasha, forming a huge black human figure. The human figure was more than 10 meters tall, and its lower body was a ball of black smoke. Garen could clearly see that the upper body of the humanoid was exactly the face of Palasha, with the same age and the same facial features. But it's a little different from me. The courageous Palasha has a cruel and twisted smile on his face, which is in sharp contrast to the gentle and charitable Palasha. This is a solidified spirit. Garen's mouth was slightly open, with a look of astonishment on his face, and he could only maintain this expression. Among all the people, he was the only one whose whole body was trembling violently. He wanted to break free from this completely frozen state. "This is my white bird fist," Palasha said softly. His fingers were already pressed on the large blue stone more than 2 meters high in front of him. In an instant, the frozen terror pressure disappeared instantly. Everyone resumed action again. The large blue stone slowly developed a large number of cracks. It didn't explode, it didn't turn into powder, and there were no other exaggerated effects. But the moment they saw the crack, everyone felt incredible emotions in their hearts. On the large blue stone, centered on the direction pointed by Palasha's finger, a large number of cracks formed. These cracks naturally formed a complex network. A large number of lines intersect, and the cracks eventually converge on another point on the left side of the stone. Countless cracks all gathered at this point, like thousands of currents gathering, and a deep black hole strangely appeared there. Garen looked at the spot in Palasha's dot again. There was only a very shallow fingerprint there. He was silent for a moment. Isn't Jin directed at fists? You also know, Palasha turned around, I am already old. Otherwise, this punch should have 100 powerful cracks instead of 99. He reached out and touched the bluestone surface. This is my white bird fist. Without breaking the defense, I can activate countless dark energy to attack the most important heart from all directions in the enemy's body. This is the most terrifying assassination punch. Almost all of my predecessors were genius butchers who killed many people. When you punch, it's when you kill. Once I use force against someone, even I can't control it. I don't have the spirit of boxing. If so, do you still want to fight me? Garen felt that the solidified energy completely disappeared. Generally, the spirit of a martial artist appears in people's spirit, in a gaseous state. The stronger one is the thick gaseous state, and both Ansara and him are close to the liquid state. Today, for the first time, he saw the solid state, the powerful aura that can solidify the human spirit. Confining aura. Aura is the product of mental pressure from the concentration of a fighter's energy and spirit. To be able to achieve a solid aura, your will is truly unimaginable. Garen cannot break the solid aura, but what about a fighter's will? I was scared away after just a few words and one demonstration. Palasha represents the ultimate strength of human beings, and Garen will try it himself no matter what. This is also the purpose of his visit this time. Do you really want to take action? Palasha frowned and looked at Garen closely. This is the purpose of my coming here. Garen showed no sign of weakness. Once I take action, I am not sure I can stop it. If I accidentally kill you, beat me to death, Garen interrupted and sneered. As long as you can do it, Feel free to beat me to death. He was very happy with the old man. I really don't want to be stained with the blood of my fellow section. Palasha showed a look of pain on his face. You'd better leave. If I can't control it, it's not good to beat you to a disability. I've done it in my life. Too many wrong things. The more Garen listened, the more he felt his heart getting angry. If you can beat me to a cripple, that's because I'm not strong enough. I'm looking for death myself. I don't care about your business. Stop dawdling and do it. The old man pretended to be kind, but he kept teasing himself with this tone. Young man, you are still young. If you become disabled, it will not be easy for your family, friends, and elders to answer. You still have their responsibilities. If something happens, I will also feel sorry for your family and parents. Palasha put his hands behind his hands and said softly. I don't need anyone to worry about my own affairs. This is my own choice. As a fighter, I bear all the responsibilities myself. You don't need to be responsible. Garen's voice became louder and louder. Isn't this what you want? He said with a mocking look on his face. Anything that happens is my own responsibility and it's none of your business. Is this what you said? Palasha finally became serious. Of course. Garen slowly moved into the Bioon Gate starting position, with a huge aura tightening around his body, ready to take action at any time. The two of them were finally going to officially start the fight, and everyone else voluntarily stepped back from the rock and stood to watch the battle from a distance. The two of them, Gal and Palasha, stood opposite each other on a huge white rock. The two of them, one black and one white, looked very distinct. Let me see what level of boxing the legendary Whitebird Holy Fist is. Garen's gesture changed, and he opened his arms. One high and one low seemed to be embracing something. His waist sank and he transformed into another starting hand for boxing. This is the improved version of Garen's unique fighting skills after he has fully studied various fighting skills after maxing out his intelligence. The three major forms of the giant elephant secret martial arts, as well as the ruby palm, flame claws, and golden image skills, and other various secret martial arts, he took out several moves and blended them into his exclusive fighting skills. This starting move is most borrowed from the golden image kung fu. After all, it is the strongest technique among many secret martial arts, and the fighting skills in it are also very suitable for hard Qigong fighters like Garen. Golden image kung fu. Palasha immediately recognized this secret martial art. Since you have the gold statue skill, let me see how many levels of strength you have as a 10,000 gold statue. Before he finished speaking, a huge force of energy suddenly rushed toward Garen. The solid aura created a terrifying mental pressure, causing Garen's body to freeze instantly, as if only a moment had passed. Bang! He felt a dull pain in his chest. When he came back to his senses, he was already flying backwards in mid-air. From the moment Palasha finished speaking to when he flew out upside down, the moment he was frozen was only a second at most. Palasha rushed forward and placed a light palm on Garen's chest. The people watching the battle only saw Palasha lightly leap over and hit the motionless Garen with a palm. The two were separated at the first touch, and then Garen flew backwards. It's this again. Garen was in mid-air and slapped two palms back with his backhand. The huge air recoil caused his flying body to pause and fall straight down. As soon as he stood firm on a rock, he saw Palasha leaping towards him, raising his right hand into a palm, looking at him with eyes like a lamb waiting to be slaughtered, full of pity. Double shooting form. Garen's arms struck together like two sledgehammers facing Palasha's palm. Don't blame me. Palasha showed pity in his eyes, and his terrifying aura was suppressed again. Bang 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 bang. On the rock, Palasha knocked Galen away at once, then instantly rushed behind Galen and smashed it back. Just like playing baseball, one goes back and forth over and over again. Garen's whole body was aching from being beaten, and his body's movements didn't need to be suppressed by the aura, but he was also suppressed to death. Every palm of the opponent hit the empty space he wanted to block. It's just that the terrifying mutated Hardkagong has undergone stronger changes now that his spirit, energy, and spirit have become one. When it came into contact with Palash's palm power, his body naturally released most of the dark power of the palm power. Only a small portion enters the body for internal destruction. It's just that Garen's internal organs are much stronger than those of ordinary people, so it's not a serious problem at all. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Mysterious Journey. Author, Gunkai. Chapter 174. Now he was still in his normal state. When he came into contact with Palash's palm power in this state, he had a rough idea of the killing effect of its palm power. Although it is very powerful, nothing will happen to it in its normal state. Being able to compete with the Holy Fist at the lowest level possible was one of his wishes when he came here to hone himself. As Palasha placed a palm mark on his body, Garen carefully observed Palash's fist path, and suddenly made a vague discovery. Every time Palasha raises his palm to push flatly, he lifts it up slightly, and the punch path is a little skewed. This will be more suitable for his bones and body to integrate and exert force. However, in this way, a slight trace of the underarm of his palm will be exposed. Void holes. Garen narrowed his eyes, and his whole body became more concentrated and ready to go. Amid defeat, Palasha rushed to the other side again, raised his palm and hit the flying Garen. Opportunity, Garen's body suddenly turned over in mid-air, and his right elbow whipped towards Palasha's armpit. This blow is definitely Palasha's weakness. With his strength, as long as he hits it, and with Palasha's physical fitness at his age, it will definitely be the decisive blow. At the same time, Palasha's palm also touched Garen's forehead. The two hit each other's armpits and head respectively. Garen's movements were obviously faster. At this time, call. A solid aura instantly descended on Garen, causing his movements to freeze. Bang! This palm struck Garen hard on his forehead. Garen's legs caught on the rock, and he was pushed back quickly. Two black friction marks were drawn under his feet. Everyone watching the battle not far away was shocked. Is the door master going to be okay? Jack swallowed and watched Garen being hit hard on the head with a palm. That was the head, not any other part, coupled with Palasha's terrifying engine control and concentration. I don't know, but the sect master is invincible. How could he be hit with such a slap? Cynthia stopped chewing the bubble gum in her mouth. Although she said so, there was still a trace of worry on her face. Lord Leo, you are a master fighter, do you think? Leo on the side also frowned. It's hard to say, but the master's Hardkagong has reached the most terrifying peak in history, so there shouldn't be any problems. Should, Cynthia and the two understood, and Leo was probably not sure either. The man in white on the side, the master of the Holy Fist sect, was also watching the changes on the field below. Not only him, but also another elder who came together. Both of them had deep horror in their eyes. Ever since they met Palasha, they had never met any person, any master or fighter, and the other person had already fallen to the ground and was seriously injured after using a second palm. And now Garen has received countless palms. It can be seen that Palasha has not let go at all, and he never will. However, Garen was not even slightly injured. What a terrifying master of the Bayun sect. What a terrifying peak of Hardkagong. The master of the Holy Fist sect looked at Garen standing on the rock, with a hint of regret in his eyes. Grandpa Palasha's boxing technique, every palm is destroyed from the inside. Even the giant crocodile and giant rhinoceros in the mountains are unable to receive the second palm. Lord Palasha has obviously shrunk his spirit. We are focusing on Galen, another male elder said in a deep voice. The situation is a bit complicated. The leader of the Holy Fist sect nodded slightly and stopped talking. Everyone was nervously staring at the situation below. Garen's still standing figure showed that this battle was far from over. Whitebird Holy Fist. I can't see any shadow of Whitebird in your boxing technique. Garen calmed down the blood boiling and spoke again. It seems that it's impossible not to be serious. Bang. A large crater exploded under his feet. Garen jumped forward, and his figure turned into a black arrow and shot towards Palasha. One paragraph. He shouted violently, and in mid-air, his whole body expanded ferociously, and the clothes on his upper body were torn apart and scattered. Directly break away from the solid spirit suppression. A terrifying large blue and black hand and foot the size of a small basin rushed towards Palasha's face and clawed at it. Palasha also didn't expect that palm to have no effect on Garen. The head is a vital part, but it was able to receive his palm without any damage. The opponent's hard Kigong was even more powerful than he imagined. Now he saw Garen leaping forward, sprinting towards him as fast as lightning. Strength, speed, and momentum are all integrated, like the waves of the sea. There is no way to avoid it and you can only resist it. Boom. Garen's whole body was hit hard by a side whip, and his body flashed black and was smashed into the rocks on the side. The moment he took action just now, that huge solid aura appeared instantly, suppressing the subsequent moves. He didn't even use all his moves before he was whipped into a pile of rocks. There was constant crackling, and I don't know how many rocks were smashed. Damn it! Come again. Garen turned over and stood up from the pile of rocks in anger. Just as he was about to take action, his eyes suddenly blurred. Bang bang bang. A continuous violent palm hit him in the middle of the chest, all the palms hitting the same position. After a period of change, Garen also felt a dull pain inside his body. The whole person was continuously driven into the depths of the rock pile. There was a slight flush on Palasha's face, and his complexion was vaguely similar to the human form formed by Chiguo, and became slightly distorted. I'm so disappointed. Baiun Sect Master Jia Long, you still dare to say such arrogant words with such little strength. I really feel sad for your parents, brothers, and sisters. No one is forcing you to come here. You are seeking death on your own. He struck out randomly with one palm, each palm hitting Garen's whole body numb, and the terrifying aura suppressed him, making him unable to move at all. Despite a period of terrifying physical condition, greatly improved defense capabilities, and bursts of power, he was still unable to suppress the opponent's attack. He can only be beaten passively. Palasha seemed to be a completely different person at this time. His whole person was bitter and mean, completely lacking the kind temperament he had before. Garen was not feeling aggrieved at this time. Every time he wanted to fight back, his rhythm was interrupted by a powerful force. Then he was hit by one step first, so one step was slow and the other was slow. However, his terrifyingly powerful hard energy backfired, causing Palasha to be slightly stunned every time he hit him. Although he was not injured, it was extremely unbearable for him to be suppressed all the time. A large amount of palm force was constantly shaking the inside of Garen's body. Although most of it was offset by the hard Kigong, the shock still caused the blood to boil, and his reaction to the attack became slower and slower. Fight back. Palasha's face gradually became filled with a hint of black. The two of them were in the pile of rocks, and their palm strikes and movements continued to splash out a large amount of small pieces of gravel. The terrifying energy vibrated and fought against each other, making no living creature around them dare to get close. Even the strange insects in the pool all shrank away from the rocks. Orientation Corner. You are so weak. You didn't come here specifically to get beaten, did you? I really don't know how you defeated Ansara. Did you sneak attack when he was not prepared? Or challenge him when he was seriously injured? Weak people are always weak. You can't even get on the stage, Palasha sneered. You bang. Before Garen could finish his words, he was interrupted by a palm, and his voice was suddenly muffled in his chest. A piece of stone powder blew into his eyes, and he closed them immediately. Too weak, Palasha slapped his right hand. With a bang, Garen was hit by another palm and flew sideways, rushing straight into the nearby forest. "What are you doing in the world if you are so weak?" Palasha made a circle with his arms, and the darkness on his face became more and more dark. A sharp bird call suddenly sounded in the air, like an eagle's roar or a crane's cry. His figure suddenly rushed forward, rushing straight into the dense forest where Garen flew into. The two of them chased and blocked each other, and the dull sound of fists and arms clashing was like thunder, hitting and shaking in the forest. Everyone watching the battle quickly followed him into the dense forest. Just in time to see Garen being suppressed and beaten, retreating towards the depths of the dense forest. Skylark finger. Palasha's hands suddenly turned white, drawing two white lines in the air, and lightning pierced Garen's throat like a flying bird. "The last blow, if you can't block it, you will die." Palasha's face showed a cruel twist, and the index fingers of both hands thrust straight out. At this moment, Garen's closed eyes suddenly opened. Ruby. All things return. His hands glowed a gorgeous red, and he faced the stabbing fingers head on. Fists and fingers clasped together. Boom. A terrifying liquid energy suddenly broke through the blockade, forming a dozen tall white giant elephants behind Garen. The giant elephant raised its front hooves and roared. The raised front hooves overlapped with Garen's arm, pressing down on Palasha like a huge stone pillar. There was a muffled sound, and the ground shook violently. Palasha groaned and flew backwards, directly smashing two large trees surrounding it. A large number of leaves are scattered, like raindrops, falling one after another. Garen was standing in the forest with his upper body naked. His whole body had swelled even larger than before. He was a full 2.5 meters tall. Even the most ferocious lions, tigers, and bears would not dare to approach him because of his strong and fierce body. "This is my final form." His expression returned to calm, and he looked faintly towards the forest not far away. "Unfortunately, this world is no longer your time." Boom. His figure disappeared instantly and appeared in front of Palasha almost teleportingly. "Tiangang Bailey," Garen roared, clasping his hands round, and his already enlarged arms suddenly expanded again, grabbing Palasha fiercely and boundlessly. Snapped. Call. A gust of wind blew in all directions, and a large number of fallen leaves continued to fall around the two of them, making it impossible to see what was going on inside. I could only feel the ground shaking, like an earthquake. Several nearby big trees also collapsed and broke suddenly. This was the tree trunk that had been broken by the aftermath of the two men just now. Countless branches and forks fell down, and some poisonous insects on the trees were running around like crazy for their lives. After more than 10 seconds, when the fallen leaves dispersed, the people who followed could see clearly what was going on inside. Garen's hands were in the form of claws, only a few centimeters away from Palasha's face, but they were tightly strangled by his arms. The two men's movements paused for a moment. In the air around them, black human figures and white giant elephants were entangled with each other, scuffling and conflicting. A trace of blood slowly flowed from Palasha's eyebrows. "Palasha is hurt." The leader of the Holy Fist sect and others felt a rush of cold air rushing up from their tailbones. Mysterious Journey. Author, Gunkai. Chapter 175. Laugh. Garen bent his arm, and his elbow pointed directly at Palasha's temple. The two elbows were like spikes, stabbing Palasha's head left and right. Bang. Palasha blocked it with his upper body, but was kicked by Garen, and his body was pushed back far away with a hiss. Before he could react, he saw a dark shadow flash in front of him, and he felt a sense of wind pressure almost simultaneously on his chin, chest, and lower abdomen. That was a subtle sign of high-speed punch pressure. Bang 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 bang. The two of them kept fighting in the woods. Every time their hands met, Palasha was shocked. The opponent's violent power impacted his body again and again. He felt that his hands were already numb. The terrifying force of the vibration and explosion was like a giant hammer, being swung up and smashed down hard. Suddenly, without paying attention, Palasha's waist was touched by a light palm. With a bang, he flew out to the left. Then he was caught up by Garen in a few steps. He raised his big hand and pressed down, but was blocked by his arms. However, at the same time, he couldn't block the side whip kick coming from the side. Snapped. The whip leg struck Palasha hard on the right shoulder. In the woods, everyone only saw the two men of Galen and Palasha fighting wildly, turning into two phantoms in the forest, one black and one white, constantly intersecting. In no time, the white shadow was suddenly thrown away, breaking several big trees, and then the black shadow rushed up and entangled him. From time to time, large holes or pits will be left on the ground and tree trunks. With a bang, Palasha was once again knocked back more than 10 steps. Finally, unable to bear it any longer, he spat out a mouthful of dark red blood. Jialong's face was indifferent, his arms were folded, and he once again assumed the posture of Tiangang domineering. Everything is coming back. He disappeared from the spot and rushed to Palasha in an instant, slapping his palms across his chest and abdomen. At this moment, the muscle strength of his whole body was like a little mouse, constantly pulsating from other parts to his arms. A huge force was integrated from the muscles and bones of his whole body, and surged towards his palms. All the power of the four major forms of Baiun sect is concentrated in this strike, combined with the explosion of the second stage, plus the increase of the secret method Tiangang Bailey. Garen's attack reached an unprecedented height. This was his first time to explode with all his strength. In the past, he had never encountered an opponent who could make him explode with all his strength. Today he finally had this opportunity. The violent palm swelled to the point of almost deforming, bringing up a large amount of strong wind, which pressed the skin of Palasha's chest and abdomen slightly into a dent even before they came into contact. Palasha stared at Garen with calm eyes, a trace of blood on his forehead slowly flowing down his face and dripping from his chin. The black energy on his face seemed to gradually flow out with this trace of blood. "You haven't reached your limit yet." He crossed his arms and pushed forward. Boo! A strange banging sound came from between the palms. Palasha paused for a moment, then flew backwards with a bang, crashing directly into a large fern on one side, leaving a green scratch. The forest regained its calm. Palasha coughed violently, and all the black air on his face disappeared. "It's just that the skin on his body is a sickly purple-red color. Ahem. I didn't expect you to be able to break me out of the possessed state." The aura around him at this time was no longer a black human form, but a faint gray-white mist. Back to normal, Garen's arms returned to their original state, looking at Palasha, who was out of breath. His chest was also heaving violently, and this was the first time he felt tired. Since he started practicing secret martial arts and continuously increased his physical attributes, his endurance and recovery ability have always been far superior to ordinary people. And this time, the continuous burst of full strength actually made him feel tired. The two of them sat and stood, not making any more moves, but just resting not far apart to recover their strength. "It's a pity." Palasha looked at Garen with regret. "It's a pity that you have embarked on this road. It is a road with no future." Seeing the puzzled expression on Garen's face, he smiled. "I practiced whitebird boxing and experienced thousands of battles without ever losing. But starting a year ago, there were signs of backlash in my boxing skills. After I couldn't resist, I finally became possessed. I didn't expect that you would wake me up in the end." Fist backlash. Garen frowned slightly. "Many years ago, I realized the shortcomings of the assassination fist and chose to live in seclusion in the mountains and forests, hoping to kill the accumulated murderous intention. I didn't expect that he would take advantage of me in the end." Palasha's face became calmer. "Now, although my body is injured, Thanks to you, I have completely recovered my spirit. He stood up from the ground and moved his body. Suddenly, his whole body made a series of crisp sounds. Be careful. This is my true full state now. Palasha's body actually shrank first, and then expanded as well. He quickly expanded from a little old man of 1.6 meters to a strong man of more than 2 meters. His muscles and bones were making strange clicking sounds, and his wrinkled skin was gradually tightening, becoming smooth and youthful. Excellent player. Palasha raised his right arm and casually slashed at the side of the tree. His nails were like 5 sharp knives, easily cutting out several slender slanted edges on the tree trunk. The peak of hard Kigong, Jia Long narrowed his eyes. No, this is the secret method. 99 sperm holes. Palasha seemed to have completely returned to normal. He smiled casually. Unlike hard Kigong, this secret method can memorize a person's peak state, block it when it is not needed, release it when needed, and always ensure that one can maintain his peak state. At this time, Palasha completely transformed into a young man with white hair and shawl, looking at Garen talking. I have created 178 secret techniques, each of which is a secret technique that I have painstakingly studied. 99 Jing Kong ranks 67 among them. The aura around him has completely turned white at this time. The strange thing is that, unlike the auras of other fighters, his white aura seems to give people a soft and calm feeling, but it has no shape at all. I let you down before. The calmness on Palasha's face gradually turned into solemnity. Your power far exceeds the realm of boxing, and you can be called a well-deserved master of boxing. This is the path of pure power. This is the first time I've met a fighter like you. No need to say more. Come again. Garen assumed Tiangang Bailey's posture again. This is the secret method he got this time when he returned to Huaishan and exchanged secret weapons with the 10th Golden Circle. It is a powerful secret method with no side effects to him. Unexpectedly, he was forced out of the possessed state just in Palasha. That's right. Palasha smiled slightly and turned into a white shadow. Garen also turned into a black shadow at the same time. The two huge figures, almost equally tall, collided in the forest. Completely different. The two fists and kicks exchanged without any avoidance. Every collision was real, and the collision of muscles made a sound of steel. 3 strikers, Palasha slashed diagonally with both arms. In an instant, his power was 3 times greater, and his speed suddenly increased. He slashed straight from top to bottom towards Garen's shoulders. A sharp scream suddenly erupted from the air, and white air waves appeared faintly behind Palasha's hands, like 2 white ribbons pressing against Garen's shoulders. That's the surge of airflow caused by too fast speed. Palasha's eyes flashed with anticipation. The 3-striker was the last of his 178 secret techniques. With the power he had regained in his prime and this secret technique, he had once cut off a person who was also at the peak of his hard Kigong. Fighter. With his current strength increased by 3 times, this terrifying speed power has far exceeded human limits and reached an inhuman level. And this is just the most common of his many secret techniques. Let me see, how are you going to deal with it? Palasha stared at Garen closely. The two were extremely close to each other, and the 3 strikers' attack reached Garen almost instantly. The huge scream caused by the 2 white air waves made Garen's ears completely deaf. He squinted his eyes to avoid being dazzled by the huge pressure on his eyeballs. As a human extreme warrior, he also saw the danger of this attack. In an instant, countless moves flowed through his mind, but his body instinctively assumed a posture to face the opponent. Moo. The violent white elephant energy gathered from his body, he raised his nose and roared, and collided head-on with the 3-striker from top to bottom. All things are rushing. This is one of the 3 major moves created by Garen by combining many martial arts. Like Wangxiang Gailiu, it is a powerful martial art that is a combination of the giant elephant secret martial arts, the golden image kung fu, and many other martial arts. Clang. Looking from a distance, two white lines hit Garen hard on the shoulder. Both of them had a blush on their faces, and the violent power brought out a huge terrifying shock at the same time. This was a level of shock that neither of them could control. Almost at the same time, both of them suffered internal injuries. There was a cracking sound in Palash's shoulder joint, which was obviously a problem with the bone. Two huge wounds with bone-deep wounds appeared directly on Garen's shoulders, but no blood flowed out. The wounds closed automatically almost as soon as they appeared. At the same time, the two of them stepped back from each other. Secret technique. Sun Sealing Hand. A small square piece suddenly appeared on Palash's chest and abdomen, as if there was a square piece of wood under his skin, with sharp corners. The block moved upward from the lower abdomen to the chest, then subsided and disappeared, as if it had never appeared. Strangely, the fractured bones in Palash's shoulders that gradually swelled were visibly healed, and the skin became smooth again without any abnormality. Garen endured the pain in his shoulder and looked at this scene, his eyes suddenly narrowed. Only then did he realize how terrifying the 178 secret techniques created by Palasha were in actual combat. He is obviously not the pinnacle of hard Qigong, but he can achieve terrifying counter-attack effects by relying on many secret techniques. It's been a long time since I've been this happy. Come again, Palasha laughed loudly and pounced on Garen again, hitting the striker 3 times again. The man in white who followed at this time, Cynthia and others also saw this scene. The terrifying secret effect of Palasha also left everyone completely speechless. Grandpa Palasha's 99 sperm hole secret method can store one's peak state to the maximum extent, and the most terrifying thing is not this. The leader of the man in white, the master of Nantian Holy Fist sect, said in a low voice. That's already very perverted. Boxing champion Leo also felt his scalp numb. Looking at the two people on the field, this is no longer a human battle at all. The two monsters on the field collided wildly, they were simply two ancient behemoths. The difference is that Galleons are made of copper skin and iron bones. And Palasha claims to have 178 secret techniques. The leader of the Holy Fist sect said with emotion. We didn't expect that this was Grandpa Palasha's true state. We didn't expect that the legendary assassination punch could actually affect people's minds. No wonder Grandpa rarely lets us come in to see him in these years. You haven't said what the more terrifying secret method is. Cynthia stared at the field intently and asked urgently at the same time. This is also the key point that Jack and boxing champion Leo want to know. Mysterious Journey. Author, Gunkai. Chapter 176. The truly terrifying thing about the 99 Jingkong is that it is used in conjunction with Grandpa Palasha's 10th secret technique, which is also the most famous secret technique, 99 Return to Origin, the Holy Fist sect master said solemnly. This is one of the true reasons why Grandpa can be invincible and invincible. 99 returns. Boxing champion Leo's expression finally changed slightly. Could it be that you are talking about the terrifying secret in the legend? The leader of the Holy Fist sect nodded slightly proudly. That's the legendary secret. 99 lives. Boom. At this moment, the two people in the woods collided again. The two hands were also slashing at each other. Garen groaned and took a few steps back. The wounds on his shoulders had completely shrunk, and blood slowly flowed down his shoulders. Palasha's shoulders were completely shattered, and his arms hung limply at his sides. Secret technique. Sun Sealing Hand. A small square lump bulged out in his chest and abdomen again. I still want to heal my wounds. Garen snorted coldly when he saw this, jumped towards him, and grabbed his face with his claws. At this time, although his strength and speed were affected to a certain extent due to injuries to both shoulders, he still had 80% of his original strength. One hand's claws turned slightly red, and actually radiated a faint heat. Palasha smiled slightly when he saw this, and the small square between his chest and abdomen accelerated in an instant, until it reached his chest, and then disappeared. At the same time, his shoulders seemed completely uninjured, and he clamped Garen's claws twice. The two of them quickly backed up. Waves of dark energy are constantly being transmitted from Palasha's hands into Galen's body. The large amount of dark energy is much stronger than the previously possessed Palasha. It is like countless thin threads desperately drilling towards Galen's heart, trying to gather there. Form a group. I have met several peak hard Qigong masters, and you are the strongest one I have ever seen. Faced with the 3 secret techniques I created based on the White Bird Fist, you can still remain undefeated. I take it back, as I said before. Palasha's calm voice came clearly into Garen's ears. You are indeed qualified to defeat Ansaro head-on. He pushed his knee forward and hit Garen directly in the abdomen, but he avoided it. The two immediately stepped away at the same time. It's over. Palasha's face suddenly turned a white jade color. White Bird. Wushuan Tianchen. The white aura around him suddenly condensed and turned into a huge white crane. Its extremely sharp beak overlapped with his claws. It was raised high and then lowered with a sneer. The huge sharp beak was like an awl, and it pecked hard at Garen. That solid aura reappeared, slamming down on Garen, causing all the bones in his body to tremble slightly. Do you think I don't have the strength to fight back? A hint of ferocity flashed across Garen's face. His arms suddenly opened wide. Wangxiang Tianluo. His hands suddenly moved toward the middle, as if to clamp the beak. The palms made a whirring sound of violent friction in the air. The hands were originally red and full of heat and poison. Now they were rubbed rapidly with powerful moves, and the palms actually burned. Garen's hands simultaneously dragged out 2 red lines of fire on the left and right sides, and instantly clasped his hands in the middle. At this moment, the two of them struck each other with their moves. There was no sound in the woods. The 2 huge auras collided at the same time, distorting all the scenes and making it impossible for any living thing to see clearly what was happening inside. After a few seconds, the 2 spirits suddenly separated, each retreating a few meters away from each other. Palasha took more than 10 steps back on the field, and his hands were charred black, as if they were burned by fire. He was sweating profusely all over his body, as if he had released all his physical strength just now, and he was still breathing heavily. Especially the middle of the chest was deeply dented. It was obvious that the sternum had been directly shattered. Totally seriously injured. At this time, he was also staring closely at the other person on the field, Garen. Garen stood there without moving, but in the middle of his chest, a tiny red dot slowly oozed out a drop of blood. On the ground in front of him, there was a circle of semi-arc charred black lines. That was the terrifying effect produced by his Vientiane heavenly law pushing the flame claws. It's over. Garen looked at Palasha, who was not far away. He was hit by my full strength Wangxiang Tianluo, plus the hot poisonous flames when Anshaluo was seriously injured. The palm he hit was the power is far less than the current blow, only equivalent to 1/2 of the current one. Even if Palasha is stronger than Ansara, it is impossible not to pay the price for being hit in the front. Suddenly his pupils shrank and he looked at Palasha not far away. The opponent's chest and abdomen actually bulged into a small square box again. Secret method. 99 Return to the origin. Palasha's face was calm, and the small squares on his chest and abdomen suddenly disappeared, turning into countless blue tendons that radiated to all sides of his body and all skin surfaces. Amidst a strange clicking sound of bones, all the injuries on Palasha's body recovered quickly, as if he was not injured at all. My 99 Return to Origin, combined with the 99 Jing Kong, is an absolute secret method I created based on the White Bird Fist. It can continuously recover 99 serious injuries within 100 days. Palasha took off his tattered clothes and was only wearing his trousers. 99 returns to Yuan Jialong's expression remained unchanged, but his heart was tumbling. This almost perverted secret method was actually created by a top fighter like Palasha. I don't believe you can recover again and again, Garen was shocked and doubtful. He exerted force on his feet and rushed towards Palasha. Bang bang bang. Amidst the continuous blows, the white bird's spirit and the giant elephant's spirit struggled together again and again, and the white bird circled and flew up, swooping down and pecking at the white elephant's body again and again. The elephant's long trunk whipped the white bird as hard as a whip. Two terrifying and huge spiritual forces are constantly facing each other. Everything Tianluo, Garen shouted violently, his palms ignited with red flames again, and they collided fiercely with Palasha's unparalleled Tian Chen. Palasha jumped away from a distance, and when he fell from the air, his shattered ribs had been completely restored to their original shape. Come again, Garen pounced ferociously again. The onlookers only saw the two people fighting hard again and again. At this time, the two people had completely exerted their full strength. In the continuous exchanges, Palasha was able to recover from his physical injuries in the fierce fight. He had just been hit. The place quickly returned to its original state in less than 10 seconds. Using Fenyang Hand and 99 Giwen together, Palasha remained intact from beginning to end, as if he was not injured. His spirit was as powerful and oppressive as ever, and even his spirit seemed unwavering. However, Garen was fighting hard again and again, and his whole body was gradually pecked with blood by the white bird fist. His eyes were blood red, as if he was tireless, seizing the opportunity again and again to use the strongest offensive move, Wangxiang Tianluo. The Vientian heavenly law propelled by the flame claws can seriously injure Palasha every time, but every time in front of the 99 Giwen, it seems to be completely meaningless. Once, twice, 4 times, 10 times and 20 times. Garen's injuries became more and more severe. But he still stood upright and attacked fiercely and domineeringly. Finally, after an unknown amount of time, the woods completely calmed down. Boxing champion Leo, Cynthia Jack, and others gritted their teeth and stared at Garen on the field with complex expressions. Like them, the two leaders of the Holy Fist sect also looked at Garen in the forest with respect. There is no point in continuing the fight. Palasha stood quietly next to a broken and collapsed tree. Within tens of meters around the two of them, all the trees fell or were broken, and some even burned, which was where the Garen flame claws had rubbed. This forest was completely cut into a clearing. A trace of blood slowly dripped down Garen's chin, arms, and legs. He was panting violently, his eyes becoming more and more blood red, staring at Palasha not far away. There were wounds everywhere on the shoulders, waist, back, and chest. These wounds were densely packed like red lines, covering Garen's naked upper body. 99 returns, Garen gasped in a low voice, indeed, there is no need to continue fighting. Indeed, both of them already have a rough understanding of each other's abilities and strengths. The 99 return to origin is indeed extremely powerful and terrifying when combined with the Fenyang Hand, but that was for Palasha in his prime. Now, for him to continuously use such a secret method is a serious load on the body. If he continues to fight, Palasha will not be able to. He would die from injuries, but from his energy being exhausted. After all, the real foundation of his body is not this young and mature body. And Garen's Vientian heavenly law is also an extremely serious burden on itself, having been used so many times in a row. He is now exhausted and may collapse at any time. But he knew he couldn't lose. Now all the situation depends on him alone. He is the real foundation for Bayun sect to stabilize the situation. Once he falls, not only Bayun sect will be unable to survive, but even his family, relatives, and friends will all disappear like a mirror in the mirror. The safety of Bayunman and his family is actually all because of his strength. Once he falls, not only the opponents and enemies who are waiting for the opportunity, but even the allies who have defected before may rebel and become enemies. At this point, both of them knew that if things continued like this, both sides would suffer. Maybe Garen would die first, but Palasha would die later at most. I lost. Palasha smiled, and his body gradually shrank, returning to its original form of a little old man. His face was frighteningly white at this time. I used the 99 sperm holes to block the essence, and I have been surviving until now. I didn't expect you to be able to let me use the 99 return to the origin more than 10 times in a row. In fact, the two were evenly matched, with Garen slightly inferior due to his secret technique. You didn't lose, Garen said coldly and solemnly. He stood up straight and his body shook. The blood all over his body was immediately shaken away and spilled to the ground. All wounds on the body should be closed directly to temporarily stop bleeding. He stretched out his hand in the direction of Leo and his group. A black cloak was immediately thrown over there. He was grabbed by it and shrouded in it, completely covering his whole body. Let's go, this time our goal has been achieved. He turned around and strode towards the opposite direction. No injuries were visible at all. Next time, I will beat you. Boxing champion Leo was the first to catch up, followed closely by Cynthia and Jack. A year ago, a man named Xianflan also came here. We both suffered losses. If you meet this person, be careful. Palasha's voice came from behind. Xianflan. Garen paused, continued walking in the direction he came in, and soon disappeared. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Mysterious Journey. Author, Gunkai. Chapter 177. A year ago, Xianfran came here and played against Palasha. A year ago, Palasha became possessed. Garen immediately understood the connection. It was obvious that Silfran appeared in the Grant and Eliza provinces so coincidentally for a special purpose. Maybe he came to fight Palasha at that time. Now since Shiratori said that both of them were injured, then Xianflan should be equally injured now. If he doesn't have special means to cultivate. But even Palasha was injured mentally, and later even became possessed by a demon. Xianflan's injury shouldn't be so easy to recover from. On the way out of the waterfall, Garen kept thinking about this possibility. As the four of them walked back to the lake, none of them spoke first. The black cloak on Garen's body completely covered his body, so tightly that the other three could not clearly see his current injuries. Master Garen, your injury doesn't matter, right? Boxing champion Leo asked with a frown. Neither light nor serious. The impact is not big. Garen glanced at him and replied calmly. That's good. Leo looked slightly relieved. Come here this time, since we have achieved our goal. What should we do now? Garen paused. Let's go back to Grant. I have some insights from this battle with Palasha. I need to rest and recuperate when I go back. You can take care of the rest, but let me know the news of the Black Label Club as soon as possible. Yes. Leo nodded. Cynthia and Jack were immediately relieved when they heard that Galen's injury was not serious. Their fate is now tied to Garen. Once Garen falls, they will not end well. I arranged for the carriage to be near the city. I will lead the way when we get out of here, Cynthia said. Good. Garen said no more and just responded lightly. He told a few people that his injury was not serious, but as long as he understood it, his current condition was not that bad. In the battle with Palasha, his Wushuan Tianchen didn't become a unique skill based on its lethality. The real power is that in the area hit by Wushuan Tianchen, a small piece of flesh is completely pecked away. It is difficult to completely close the wound. The temporary stop of bleeding just now was also due to the forceful gathering of his muscles. Apart from this, let alone the dark network which is much stronger than ordinary moves. This dark force completely numbed the nerves around the injury at that moment, and no blood was felt at all. 3 on the chest and abdomen, 12 on the back, and 8 on the limbs. 5 of them were internal bleeding, 3 were simple trauma, and the rest were all nerve-numbing wounds. Garen checked his physical condition as he moved forward. In the attribute column below the field of vision, the physical fitness column also temporarily dropped by 5 points. Apparently the injury was too serious and the hard qigong was broken, which caused the overall level to drop. Then there are internal organs. All 5 internal organs have been displaced to varying degrees, and the heart has been micro-ruptured to a certain extent. The recovery ability has been suppressed. I don't know what secret method Palasha used. Garin stretched out his hand hidden under his cloak. The back of his hand was frighteningly white, with only a little blood. Try the attribute points to see if it has any effect. He tried to use the unused potential points to add a physical fitness column. Unfortunately, it was of no use. After being blurred for a while, his body returned to its original state, and his body did not feel any signs of recovery. It seems that this time I can only wait and cultivate slowly, he frowned. Such an injury inhibits recovery. As long as it doesn't get worse, it will take at least a month for me to fully recover. The dispute with the Demon Elephant sect has not yet been cleared up, so he can only go back to recuperate and take charge of the main gate. All along, Garin has fought against a large number of opponents, and Garin has always been able to overcome them all the way. At this level, he originally thought that it would be impossible for him to be in such a miserable situation again, but he didn't expect that this time he would be in such a miserable state after just sparring. Although Xianflan and Palasha are slightly weaker than them, the good news is that, no matter what, he has indeed entered such a top level. Among the fighters I have seen along the way, whether they heard about it or saw it in person, only these 2 people can compare with him now, or even surpass him. While recalling Palasha's moves, Garin began to shake his body slightly, slowly adjusting the injuries to his internal organs. More than 10 days later, the battle between Bayun sect leader Garin and Whitebird Holy Fist Palasha ended without anyone noticing. The result of this battle spread throughout the southern martial arts community a little later. The 2 fought to a draw, a result that many people did not expect. Garin, as the top fighter of the new generation, was actually able to tie with the strongest Holy Fist. Overnight, countless telegrams flew to all parts of the martial arts world. The strength of Garan Overlord was completely confirmed in this battle. Grand Province, where the leader of the Bayun sect is entrenched, has also become an area that many sects warn their disciples to pay attention to. The status of Bayun sect has suddenly reached the same level as Nantian Holy Fist sect and Star Ring sect. As for the Black Label Society and the Red Sand Sword Gate, the Black Label Club is negotiating with the Bayun sect on the details of merging vassals. One of the 3 major boxing champions betrayed the sect, one was seriously injured, and the remaining one is unable to support himself. He is no longer in name only. The Red Sand Sword sect disappeared completely because of the night of the battle between the hunting team and Garin, and suddenly faded out of everyone's sight. Many properties were directly sold and transferred to surrounding sects and the Bayun sect Star Ring sect. The entire southern part of the Federation has once again transformed into the 3 major sects: Nantian Holy Fist Gate, Star Ring Gate, and Bayun Gate. Among these 3 sects, the Bayun sect is the weakest. They have no intention of expanding beyond Grand Province, so they occupy a province and continue to consolidate their territory. All the territories from other provinces that the Black Label Society had defected to were transferred to the other 2 sects. The Nantian Holy Fist sect expanded aggressively, conquering many small sects and forming alliances. The Star Ring Gate has also been somewhat restrained since the Battle of Garan Palasha. It is said that Andrila has finally come out of seclusion. Grant. Hubo City, the provincial capital. A white manor on a hillside on the outskirts of the city is surrounded by countless red maple forests. Outside the gate of the manor, in the maple leaf forest, 2 young men were sitting in front of a stone table playing chess. From time to time, a few red maple leaves fell down from the white stone table, as well as some kind of dandelion-like seeds. It was easily and accurately bounced away by the 2 of them. 2 men, one strong and tall, covered in black bandages. The other one has a handsome face, black hair shawl, and a black eye patch. The chess pieces on the table are made up of square and round black chess pieces. The strong man is in the lower square shape, while the one-eyed man is in the round shape. I heard that you were challenging Palasha. I came over right after I left seclusion. I didn't expect that with your strength, you would be in such a miserable situation. The one-eyed man was Andrila, who came from Star Ring. He was currently wearing long-sleeved trousers and a black robe with a waistband. The cuffs were tattooed with silver-edged star patterns, and he looked extremely casual. If you don't believe me, try it yourself. Garen's upper body was completely covered with black bandages, and his lower body was wearing black silk trousers and leather boots. Sitting on the stool, his back is straight and his eyes are slightly narrowed, giving him a straight and strong aura. His hair was also cut short and his right hand was splinted. I can't even defeat you. Wouldn't I be willing to die if I challenged you? Andrila smiled, but Palasha is also someone I will surpass sooner or later. Now there's you. You said I have a sword now. If you kill him, will you get the title of the best master in the south? It seems that you gained a lot from this retreat. Garen smiled nonchalantly, reached out to grab a chess piece, and pressed it gently. It's a pity that I killed you. The chessboard was suddenly in a desperate situation, and Andrila's circular chess piece was completely surrounded, leaving only the space that could be filled by the last move. If he fills it out, he will lose. The effect of your medicine is really good. Galen moved his body. I can feel some effects, and some of the purulent and infected areas have not worsened. Thank you very much. Since he came back that day, his injuries began to worsen, and all the places injured by Wushu and Tianchen began to fester. It took a lot of effort to develop rare drugs to suppress it temporarily. However, the condition never recovered. In more than 10 days, the damage to his internal organs was only slightly repaired, but his strength was still unable to be restored. Coupled with taking medicine internally, the infection should be eliminated. Andrila reluctantly gave up the chess piece in her hand. Forget it, I lose again. I didn't expect that. Besides martial arts, you are also so perverted in playing chess. He stood up, took out a small red medicine bottle from his pocket, and threw it to Garen. This is the healing medicine provided by the Star Ring Gate for me. It should have some effect. You have a guest here. I will go practice sword practice first. If you need anything, come to me at the same place. As soon as the wind blew, Andrila disappeared instantly, leaving only a few red maple leaves floating on the ground. Garen was sitting on a stool. This stone table and stool had an obvious oriental style. He asked the stonemason to specially build it here according to his own memory. It can also be regarded as a memory of China on Earth. Putting the chess pieces into the chess boxes one by one, Garen gently placed the 2 chess boxes on the table. He picked up the red pill bottle, looked at it, and put it directly into his pocket. The maple forest is surrounded by bright red on all sides, and the ground is covered with red and green fallen leaves, making it feel like a carpet. Looking at the position where Andrila left, Garen was slightly emotional. Andrila became stronger again, not just a little bit stronger, but a lot stronger than when they first met. No wonder he was so confident and wanted to challenge himself. The secret technique of flickering that he used reluctantly at the beginning was also used by him as he pleased. Garen made a brief assessment. On the surface, Andrila's current strength is infinitely close to Clark, the top genius of Red Sand's sword, and he doesn't know what specific secret skills he has. Outside the maple forest, there was gradually a sound of slight footsteps. Master! I'm bringing someone here. Jack's voice came from not far behind. Come here, Garen said calmly. Mysterious Journey. Author, Gunkai. Chapter 178. Jack was wearing the black Taoist uniform of Bayanman, followed by 3 people. 2 of them were the 2 boxing champions from the Black Label Club whom Garen had met. One was Encore and the other was Manila. The two of them are no longer dressed like they were at the Black Label meeting. They are all wearing white button-down trench coats, and both have black silver patterned gloves on their hands. The other person is K Ling from Bayun sect. The two boxing champions stood still behind Garen and saluted slightly with indifferent expressions. The merger negotiations of the Black Label Club have all ended. From now on, we will be the boxing champions of the Bayun clan. Master Jialong clan, you have profound martial arts. We dare not disobey it. We have only one request, don't let us and Leo that traitor can just be grouped together, Manila said calmly. Garen turned around and looked at the people standing in front of him. Considering the conflicts between you, I will pay attention. Each of you will lead a team of people and form independent groups. The code names will continue to be the previous names, namely the Black Group and the Standard Group. Is that okay? No problem. Garen nodded with satisfaction. Leo is an equally independent Thunder Group. Jack Calling, Cynthia, and the rest of you will form a group, called the Cloud Group. They are responsible for collecting news and information. There is another group that I am responsible for alone. Garen divided the complex forces of Bayun sect into several parts. There are 5 groups in total. Each of its 3 fighters will lead 3 groups, and then the original Bayun sect disciples and their subordinates will form one group. Finally, there were the martial artists from the neighboring Grant province who had temporarily vassalized them, and a group was led by Garen himself. These 5 groups have basically clearly divided the power components of the Bayun section. The ones who are truly most loyal to Garen are Leo boxing champion and those on the Bayun sect side. The rest are just temporary surrenders and variables exist. However, at this time, galleons should only be used as much as possible. The more power, the better. Any special news recently? Garen looked at K Ling. K Ling nodded. The first one sent by Miss Cynthia is the information about Mr. Sulin and Miss Celine. The two of them were collecting rare materials in the western part of the Federation and fell into border turmoil. We don't know the specific information yet. Unrest? Garen frowned slightly. What is the scope of the unrest? There are only 2 border provinces, and the Federation has sent troops there. I believe it will be solved soon. K Ling nodded. Then the second one, the Federal student passenger ship was seized by the Weissmann warship on its way back. 10 of them 3 students have been shot dead. Demonstrations are now taking place in some major cities to protest against the brutality of the Weissmann government. Tell me the important point, Garen interrupted her. Well, the Federation and Weissmann have begun to mobilize battleship formations in territorial waters, and a war is about to begin, K Ling said briefly. This news came from Mr. Sulin's sister. Garen noticed that K Ling used the word immediately instead of possibly. Obviously, the news was already 100% certain. His father should have arrangements for Sulin's matter. Manila, you go to Western Xinjiang. If necessary, try to help Sulin and the others, and also find out about the country behind the turmoil. Okay, Manila nodded, gently squeezed Ank's hand, turned around and strode away. Now all the strength of the Black Label Club is divided into 3 parts, one of which is the label group he is in charge of. These groups are extremely independent and complete, and have strong independent combat capabilities. It is considered an elite part of the Black Label Society. If it weren't for the pressure from the Golden Ring behind Garen and his own powerful suppression at the top, Black Label probably wouldn't have succumbed so easily. Of course, there is another point. The current situation is forcing the situation. If he does not stand on Garen's side, then Garen takes action due to the original grudge, and Black Label will still not be able to escape the word of death. Manila and Ankh also made up their mind that if Galen asked them to be cannon fodder, they would flee directly anyway. Fortunately, Garen treated them equally and there was nothing wrong with them. The treatment is still the same as before, or even better. Garen looked at Manila's leaving figure. Each of the 3 groups of the Black Label Club has at least hundreds or even thousands of combat manpower. This does not include local industries, intelligence, logistics, and other aspects. In addition to the leader, each group also collects some scattered martial artists, mercenaries, killers, and other powerful people. He doesn't care about any of this. As long as these people can work for him and exert their strength, that's enough. There is a ubiquitous golden ring behind him, and Bionman and Leo are monitoring him. As long as the requirements are not excessive, there should be no problems. Ankh, after your team is relocated, you will be responsible for the security work of Grant Province. You will be assigned bodyguards for all important personnel. Is that okay? Ankh nodded, silently bowed, and turned to leave. Kayling and Jack were left standing in the forest, waiting for Garen's orders. Jack, what's going on with Leo? Have you found the other generals under Ansara? Garen's eyes fell on Jack. Jack and Cynthia still play a certain role in intelligence. Although they are not very professional, they are obviously much better than others. They are all elite talents trained by the world's top mercenary companies. The people from the Lay group sent back a telegram. They found traces of Anceloto and Charlotte in the Shahi area. It seems that the news we released earlier has been responded to. Jack immediately replied, and Anceloto is injured now, and his strength has been greatly damaged. He was removed from the membership of the Immortal Palace. Now he and Charlotte are being hunted by the enemy. As soon as we released the news, they responded very cooperatively. It seems that they really can't hold on anymore. Garen nodded. I don't have any unbearable hatred between Anceloto. He should have gotten the news after the battle with Palasha. Now that the blood of immortality in the hiding place of the demon elephant gate has fallen into our hands, for him it is absolute tolerance. The temptation is endless. Now it depends on what he will give us in exchange. I was at a disadvantage at first, but now it's the other way around. Jack nodded. Finally, we found information about the martial artist who injured Master Fei. Oh, Garen looked serious. The martial artist's name is Chichilo Saldin. With him is his only disciple, also his son Chukfa Saldin. They have now boarded the long-distance liner heading to the east, and it has been half a month since their departure. It's been months and we just checked it off the guest list. Garen stood up, and a red leaf slowly fell into his hand, and he gently rubbed it with his fingers. It's the east again. He also thought about going to the east, but here was his family, sister, parents, uncle, and friends. Once you go to sea, the time it takes is not that long. Although a stable route has now been opened, it only takes 1 year to reach the east. But that's if things go well. In case things don't go well, let's put it aside in advance. We can't do anything about it in a short time. By the way, how is the situation at Mercury in the tower? He suddenly remembered the news about the famous detective who asked Jack to investigate a few days ago. Jack suddenly had a look of doubt on his face. Master, the detective is still in Blue Bay City in Everia province, and I don't know what he did. They seem to have been targeted by someone, and they seem to have found some clues and secrets about the Asgard. You actually stayed there for so long. Garen stroked the slightly growing beard on his chin, looking thoughtful. He only has 2 goals now. The first is to kill the culprit who injured the master. The second is to find the Asgardian immortal Fran who killed the old man. Xianflan not only killed the old man, but also seriously injured him. The mysterious fairy palace seems to hide a huge secret. Now that the first goal cannot be accomplished for the time being, let's start with the second one. It's a pity that the injury hasn't healed yet. Garen gently pressed his chest, and a sharp pain suddenly came from the injury. You guys go down first. If there is any new news over Mercury in the tower, tell me immediately. Okay. Master, please take a good rest and recuperate. Colin and Jack turned and left together. Garen sat back on the stool. The secret of Immortal Palace. Now his only opponent is this mysterious Immortal Palace. The grievances with Xianflan will be resolved together sooner or later. Xianflan, you must have heard my voice, right? Garen raised his head and looked at the sky above the maple forest. The blue sky and white clouds were extremely peaceful. Somewhere in the central sea of 3 continents. A small white island. The island is oval in shape, like a small green dot with white edges, embedded in an endless blue sea. In the middle of the island is a dense green forest. On a high cliff in the middle, there is a huge white stone palace supported by white round stone pillars. The white stone palace is located alone on the edge of the top of the black cliff. The surrounding ground is full of bare black rocks, without any green plants or insects. The stone palace is like a triangle resting on a rectangle, with a simple structure, but there is a faint ancient atmosphere from the subtle pattern carvings. At the entrance of the stone palace, there are 4 huge stone pillars with a diameter of 2 meters, with a kind of white snake with pointed ears entwined on them. On the black cliff outside the gate, there stands a short white stone pillar with a square stone basin on it, which seems to be a place to place something. As the sun sets, in front of the stone platform, a man with short hair and a cold face is standing. His hair is constantly rising in layers of dark red waves in the strong wind. The man reached out and wiped it in the stone basin, and his fingers were immediately stained with a trace of red blood. With a flick, the blood droplets flew directly to the bottom of the cliff, and were blown crookedly by the wind into the forest sea below. Xianflan, Ansara's position needs to be filled as soon as possible. A thin figure covered in black robes appeared behind him, standing at the door of the hall. The figure was completely hidden in the cloak, and nothing could be seen. Only the voice of an old man came from inside. "When do you plan to leave?" "I don't want to go out now," the short-haired man said with a smile. "You have to go there by yourself. It's true that trash without talent is vulnerable. It only takes a few injuries. It also lost the precious blood of immortality." Xianfran turned his head and looked to the right side of his body. He didn't know when a beautiful and gentle woman stood there. The woman has pure eyes as blue as the sea, and her skin is as white as snow, so white that there is no trace of blood. "Sister? When did you come? Since I killed my brother, you have appeared more and more." "I knew I was right." Xianflan suddenly became happy, stopped what he was doing, and moved his hands hurriedly. "I wiped my body clean and my face was filled with surprise." "Sister, do you think I should go out this time? The injury I suffered last time has not healed yet, so going out will be very tiring." But the plan of not going out has reached a critical moment. Mysterious Journey. Author, Gunkai. Chapter 179. The blue-eyed woman looked at him calmly, just smiling gently. "Xianflan, are you going or not? Give me a definite answer," a voice came from the black shadow behind again. Xianfran frowned. His eyes were fixed on the gentle woman's face, and such a gentle smile made him feel warm from the deepest part of his heart. "Sister, why don't you speak? Is it because the guy behind is too noisy?" "Yes, that guy must be too noisy. I've long disliked him, but I didn't expect my sister to be uncomfortable with him too. Just wait, I'll kill him right away." His body suddenly floated invisible and flew straight towards the black shadow at the entrance of the hall. In an instant, an overwhelming and terrifying black shadow erupted from his body, like countless sludge, covering the entire hall in just the blink of an eye. "Xianflan, you," the black shadow was frightened and angry, and violent roars continued to be heard in the black mud. "Why are you so crazy?" the old figure suddenly grunted, broke through the black mud with a swish, and fled down quickly. Xianflan walked out of the black mud with a look of regret. "I'm still too weak. Sister, do you think if I were stronger, could I kill that annoying old guy instantly?" He looked towards the woman again and saw the blue-eyed woman still smiling gently at him. Suddenly my heart was filled with warmth again. Suddenly his eyes blurred, the woman in front of him suddenly disappeared, and there was nothing in front of him. His face suddenly showed deep disappointment. "Sister, Are you unhappy again? I have let you down. He touched the left side of his neck and suddenly became happy again. My time mark has grown a little longer, sister, have you seen it? Just a little bit. Let me calculate. I can live for 2 more days. A simple childlike smile appeared on his face. 1 month and 5 days, it's so long. I have never had such a long period of time. Sister, you will be very happy, right? At the foot of the mountain, a black shadow suddenly appeared, standing staggeringly while holding onto the big tree. A red figure suddenly appeared next to him. It was the fire sparrow mother, with an indifferent expression on her face, a large elf sword hanging on her waist, and her head looking up at the stone palace above. Sylvania is crazy again. Damn it, I don't want to be with that madman anymore. Whoever wants to come will come, an angry old voice came from the black shadow. The fire sparrow mother squinted at the stone palace above. Xianflan is a lunatic to begin with, good and bad at times, just don't mess with him. He is also a pitiful person. Poor. He is pitiful? Who will take pity on me? Black Shadow roared angrily. He is a person who should have disappeared a long time ago. Time traces determine how long he can live. He relies on absorbing the blood of immortality and the vitality of other people to maintain his life. What are the good times and bad? I think he has long been completely crazy. Sucking life-sustaining time marks will cause severe pain every once in a while. And the more you suck, the more time marks on your body will become resistant, and the effect will be shorter and shorter each time. Xianflan. He has already lived. It won't be long. The fire sparrow mother was silent for a moment and walked towards the mountain. Stop arguing with him. In the following time, Garen concentrated on cultivating his body in Hubo City. Andrela's medicine worked well and quickly eliminated the suppuration in the wound. This troublesome effect caused by Wushu and Tianchen, a wound is like a pit, just like the damage of the Mitsubishi Army thorn, which is difficult to heal. This also caused Galleon's self-healing ability to fail to take effect quickly. However, after the suppuration was removed, the injury recovered quickly. The constant physical attributes that reach the limit of human beings bring about the terrifying self-healing power of rapid recovery. Garen played chess with Andrela every day in the manor, competed in martial arts, and listened to intelligence gathered from all parties. The injury gradually recovered day by day. But the situation in the Federation has gradually become more complicated. The Federation's Third Fleet, deployed at the border port of the Territorial Sea, finally engaged Weissman's small army, the Empire's Bluebird Fleet. The Federation has a strong national power and the Empire has a strong combat power. With the main force of the Third Fleet, the Weissman's small army is engaged in a head-on battle. If nothing goes wrong, the situation should be completely crushed. Everyone thought that the Federation would win this battle easily. The main thing to consider was Weissman's counterattack. But something happened that shocked all countries in the world. The Federation's Third Fleet actually collapsed, and 12 steel battleships were completely destroyed in just 20 minutes. Even the Weissman Empire itself didn't react. When it received the telegram, it thought it was a trick by the Federation to lure the enemy, and it was fake. Weissman's Bluebird Fleet is only one of the 23 small fleets in the Empire. All the ships are the smallest warships and gunboats. They have served in the waters where the islands are rampant, and have also fought against some small and medium-sized countries. They have not shown how strong they are. Combat effectiveness. It was actually able to defeat the Federation's third main fleet head-on. Suddenly, the true face of the entire Federation was finally exposed to the eyes of all countries. The military expenditure is in short supply, the national treasury is in short supply, the battleships have not been maintained and repaired for a long time, the soldiers are not well trained, the officials are corrupt, and even the shells used for bombardment are many substandard, and the battleship armor is completely replaced by cheap metal with low hardness and fake. Since the Boundary Monument War, the Federation has begun to become corrupt rapidly. During the Boundary Monument War, no matter which country regarded the Federation as a behemoth, they did not dare to start the war lightly. The Army's several easy raids were successful, which also made the military headquarters guys are smug. Sitting in the tea room of the manor, Galen picked up the maid's refill of black tea and looked at the newspaper in his hand with a solemn expression. The front page of the black and white newspaper clearly printed a line of large characters, "Who will pay for the lost souls of the Third Fleet?" "The situation is not good." Andrila sat opposite him, also holding a copy of the Federal Daily News, which is the mouthpiece newspaper representing the country. "It's not bad, it's terrible," Garen added, putting down the black teacup. Because the New Ocean Company successfully opened a waterway and the interests of Weissmann and Weissmann were unevenly divided, conflicts arose and war started. But in this naval battle, if the Federation does not take practical countermeasures to make up for the lost prestige, I'm afraid it's really dangerous. The actual response measures will probably involve mobilizing the 9th Army Corps. Let's just wait and see. Andrila also frowned. The safety of the country concerns every citizen. After all, when going abroad, the first thing foreigners see is their own nationality. If the country behind it is not strong, it will mean that everything is not going smoothly. Both of them felt a little heavy in their hearts. But this is something that cannot be affected by personal power. No matter how powerful they are, can they still defeat the opponent's warships head-on with naval guns? There are at least hundreds of people on one battleship alone, and even thousands of people. No matter how strong a person is on the sea, he still needs a boat to move. Even if they can kill everyone once they get on the boat, the time it takes is enough for the opponent to gain an overall advantage. As a warrior, when faced with real wars, especially naval and air battles, all I feel is a deep sense of helplessness. Boom, boom, boom. There was a gentle knock on the door. "Enter." Garen put down the newspaper and calmed down his expression. Jack strode in, wearing a white military-like uniform. "Sect Master, the materials you requested are all ready, and the potion has been prepared by a specialized pharmacist. Can you go over now? Just let your subordinates take care of these little things." Garen frowned and looked at Jack. "What you have to do is practice martial arts and improve your strength." "Has that guy from the 8-armed Dragon King agreed to come?" "No, Mr. Yoda left Mr. Sulin's manor half a month ago. I don't know where he is now." "The little guy left with him," Jack answered briefly. "Besides, unlike Cynthia at my age, martial arts training is unlikely to have a big effect on me. I know my choice very well." Garen said no more and glanced at Andrila. "Want to go?" "No, I'm going to take a bath and swim later. I don't have your strong physique, so I need to use different exercise methods to adjust my body's flexibility." Andrila waved her hand. "Body flexibility? What if your body was strong enough? Wouldn't it be so troublesome?" Garen stood up and asked. "Of course, it's a pity that a warrior can only focus on one thing. No matter how much I dabble, I won't be able to reach a very high level." Andrila shook her head and said helplessly. "I have a secret method that can improve your physical fitness in a short time." "Are you interested?" Garen suddenly said. "And the side effects are not very strong, and the explosive power is amazing." "Oh? You actually have such a secret technique?" Andrila's eyes suddenly lit up. "What conditions?" Garen shook his head and smiled. "Just communicate with each other." Andrila was stunned for a moment and looked at Galen intently, her eyes a little complicated and inexplicable. "Do you know the true value of a secret method with few side effects?" Of course Garen naturally knew that when he exchanged with the 10th golden ring, he used a lot of interests, funds, industries, mineral deposits, etc. to obtain it. It is estimated that the value paid was hundreds of millions. It was 1/5 of the property of Bayanman at that time. Andrila lowered her head and pondered for a moment. "Okay, it just so happens that I also have a secret method." Let's communicate. Garen was slightly stunned. The main reason why he was so generous was because Andrila was considered to be on his side. This guy was so addicted to martial arts that he still remembered the favor he owed him and took the initiative to give him medicine. He is a reliable person. There are only a handful of top fighters in the world. When they met again this time, they were equally addicted to martial arts. Once they communicated, they immediately felt like they were mutual confidants. Both sides' martial arts experience benefited each other. Galen has a short training time and lacks experience in details, but has rich experience in actual combat between life and death. Andrila lacks experience against high-end opponents, so it is difficult to see clearly his own position and future direction. The two of them complement each other for the most part. A few minutes later, the two came to a white stone clearing in the rear manor. The open space is paved with large pieces of white ashlar. It is a specially built martial arts arena, and can occasionally be used for masters to compete and fight. The site is surrounded by a circle of garden flowers, and outside is a circle of black walls, 5 meters high, with an electric grid. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Mysterious Journey. Author, Gunkai. Chapter 180. The fragrance of flowers is constantly wafting around the white venue, and combined with a patch of blue flowers, it looks refreshing. The two walked to the middle of the Beishi field together and sat down cross-legged opposite each other. Garen began to explain to Andrila the principle of Tiangang Bailey. This secret method uses fingering to locally condense and form qi and blood, stimulating a certain mysterious area of the body to achieve the good effect of instantly increasing strength and physical fitness. Once used, the burst of strength and constitution is equivalent to 150% of the original strength. This is definitely a terrifying weapon for Andrila, who is already explosive. Coupled with the ability to improve his physique, it can even increase his speed. Originally, he could no longer increase his speed due to the physical load. This secret method just makes up for this shortcoming of his. Likewise, in return, Andrila also gave one of the secret techniques she had learned, 3 stars. Passed on to Galen. During this exchange between the two, apart from eating, sleeping and resting, they spent all their time confirming the secret method to each other and imparting their understanding of the secret method. The 3-star point is a real secret method that Andrila created entirely by herself, and the side effects are also very small. Like Twinkle, it was something he kept at the bottom of the box, and this time it was a return favor. This secret technique, Galen, had been taught before, and it was a technique of instant violence. At the same time, 3 attacks are superimposed at once, reaching 3 times the explosive lethality. Andrila relied on this hard Qigong move to hurt him in the first place. While comprehending the secret method, Jia Long also began to use the prepared medicinal soup to practice the golden image kung fu. If his attributes couldn't be improved, he would simply upgrade to secret martial arts. For several months, the two were completely obsessed with martial arts exchanges. The practice of the 3-star secret method was complicated and required the gradual use of external force to stimulate a secret part of the arm. Tiangang Bailey needs to continuously shorten the burst execution time, and the fingering must be extremely precise, otherwise if you accidentally click on the wrong one, you will be seriously injured. Finally, it wasn't until both of them mastered the secret technique that they slowly woke up from their addiction. Garen finally mastered a little secret technique of 3 stars with the help of Andrila. Originally, according to the requirements shown in the skill bar, this secret technique requires basic swordsmanship to reach advanced level and above, and star ring secret martial arts to reach above level before it can be practiced. However, with the help of Andrila, Garen successfully improved it into a 3-star one that he could also use. And Leela is worthy of being called a genius, and has basically successfully mastered the actual combat application of Tiangang Ba Li. When the two of them fought, Garen estimated that Andrila was now almost as good as Clark, the genius of the Red Sand Sword. A few days later, the two talked again about Palash's 179 secret techniques. The terrifying secret technique of 99 returns to the origin made the Whitebird Fist the real Whitebird Holy Fist. He is completely out of the scope of ordinary boxing and is regarded as a saint. There should be something above the secret method. Andrila frowned slightly. The Whitebird Holy Fist must have touched this kind of thing, and it was able to create the 99 Jingkong and the 99 Giwen. The top secret method. You said at the beginning that you have been pursuing something beyond the limit. Do you have any clues? Garen repeatedly put his hands into the stove in front of him, constantly burning his palms, and accumulating a deeper layer of flame claws. Heat poison. It's true. Andrila nodded. Some ancient secret techniques in the legend have the kind of limit-breaking effect that I am looking for. So during the time in retreat, I have been searching everywhere. I did find some clues. Andrila and Garen no longer have so many secrets. Their relationship has taken a further step forward and they are no longer so secretive. I discovered that among the ancient secret arts, there was a fighter named Taurus who knew a secret technique and could fight tirelessly. He once fought with people for 3 days and 3 nights in a row, and then ran a long distance to attack the enemy's headquarters. The endurance is just appalling. Garen's expression also became slightly solemn. Even now, he felt exhausted after fighting with all his strength for a few hours. Not to mention 3 days, he couldn't last even 1 day. Where's the clue you mentioned? I discovered a very secret connection. Andrila smiled. You must have heard of the blood of immortality, right? Seeing Garen nodding, he continued. The blood of immortality is the blood essence of the immortal species. This involves the bloodline issue of a non-human race. Inhuman race? Yes, there are only a few known non-human races in the world, such as werewolves, cat people, and rat people. There are almost no traces of the rest. From friends of these races, I learned some about their tribes. History. Then compare the key points, and you will discover something new. Andrila stretched out her hand and began to carve on the white stone ground. After a while, a simple relationship diagram appeared on the ground. In the records of non-human races, some of the various bloodline abilities possessed by ancient ancestors are very similar to the recorded effects of ancient secret techniques used by some fighters in ancient secret techniques. Are you saying that the secret techniques of our fighters are most likely created by imitating the blood power of non-human races? Garen asked doubtfully. No. Andrila shook her head solemnly. I haven't finished yet. My biggest discovery is not here. It's another place. Oh, Garen was really stunned this time. This is not even the biggest discovery. Andrila's energy exploded instantly, and a huge black cross suddenly formed behind him, completely covering all areas of the martial arts venue. For the sake of confidentiality, let's leave it like this for now. He lowered his voice. After calming down and making sure that no one was eavesdropping, he whispered what he had discovered. I suspect that the secret method we use is probably derived from the magic of the warlocks in mythology. It is their special stimulation method to stimulate the power of their own blood. Garen's face remained calm, but his heart suddenly started to tumble. Although I have seen werewolves, demon hunters, telekinesis, and exaggerated secret martial arts effects. But he still believes that the world he lives in is a real modern society, but the development of science and technology is not as fast as that of the Earth. And now, Andrila told him that warlocks once existed in this world. The secrets are evidence of the traces left behind by the sorcerers. What basis do you have? He asked directly. Of course it does. Andrila nodded. My twinkle is actually not the Star Ring sect's own secret method, but obtained from another ancient section. To practice the secret method, you need to use the strength of a strong lion on your body. 81 special symbols were smeared with blood. Isn't this superstitious? Have you really done this? Of course, I thought it was superstitious at first, so I ignored the step and directly practiced the subsequent steps of the secret method, but unfortunately, it had no effect. Andrila recalled. I thought for a time that there was something wrong with the secret method, or there are subtle differences between the bodies of ancient people and modern people. Unexpectedly, I tried it on a whim, and it worked instantly. Glancing at Garin, who was listening carefully, he continued. Later, by chance, I also saw the symbol in a history of mythology. It is the symbol I use to practice mysticism. You can change the symbols and see if it works. Of course I have tried it. Any modification will make it useless. Andrila shook her head. I saw the symbol in the book History of Mythology, which represented a lion at the time. After that, I became interested in the myth of the warlock, collecting information in this regard from everywhere. Finally, combined with the earliest time when the secret method appeared, I came to an astonishing guess. What guess? Garin listened carefully. It is very possible that warlocks did exist in this world. I saw such a record in an ancient book that specialized in translating ancient religious myths. Andrila paused. It says, warlocks have ruled the world for hundreds of millions of years. They call things that are different from themselves devils, dominate and enslave them. Garin frowned, but his brain also recalled the myths and legends about warlocks in this world. If we assume that they did exist, how did such a powerful creature destroy and disappear? I'm not sure about this. Anyway, I suspect that our secret technique is probably rooted in the techniques passed down by the sorcerers. Then what are you going to do? Garin looked at Andrila. Even if it is true, what are your plans? I have marked some ruins that may be fruitful, and I am going to invite some friends and experts to explore together. Although these ruins have been explored countless times, if you have a clear goal and search again, you are likely to find new gains. Moreover, it is as big as the sea, and there are many places where humans have not set foot, so there will definitely be gains. Andrila looked at Garin and whispered. In addition, I suspect that the Immortal Palace and the Elephant Gate may be looking for the blood of immortality that can only be found in the ruins on the surface. In fact, they may be exploring the truth of history and finding ways to break through the limits like me. Garin pondered for a while. How many people have you really got now? If you agree, we will be two together with me, Andrila replied seriously. Don't talk nonsense. Garin was speechless. It was rare for Andrila to joke. As long as you show evidence, I have no problem. Where is the other exact candidate? The evidence is very simple. I have a piece of information that I have compiled here that I can show you. All the information above can be checked on the spot. It can be found in the Federal Library and some private collections. Arcane information and the history of non-human races information, these can all be verified. There is no fraud, it just takes a lot of time and energy to connect them together. As for the candidate, there is one person who is qualified to pursue the extreme path, at least someone who has reached the pinnacle of mankind. People like Shi Yanzhou have basically been accepted by the Immortal Palace. The Demon Elephant sect is trying to attract potential talents and try to cultivate them themselves. However, there are some exceptions to fighters who have conflicts with Asgard. Andrila stretched out her hand and drew a name on the ground. Stephen Ralph. Garin glanced at this unfamiliar name. Who is he? Different from our field, he is a psychopath. He is also the most terrifying and powerful hypnotist in the world. It is said that just by hearing his voice, you may be hypnotized. If you come into contact with him, you may fall into a hallucination. He once created in Lanzhou the appalling September 14th tragedy resulted in thousands of casualties. He also established the terrorist organization Siren in 5 Stars continent, and was listed as the 4th most dangerous person in the top secret files of the 3 major countries. He can hypnotize others as well as himself. His body became far beyond ordinary people due to hypnosis, and he also reached the limit of the human body. Nicknamed the Nightmare King. When Andrela talked about this person, there was a vague look of complexity and embarrassment in her eyes. Mysterious Journey. Author, Gunkai. Chapter 181. Chapter 181 The Legendary Pervert. 1. How do you know him? Garen asked slightly curiously. Don't worry about it. Andrela's face suddenly turned red and she replied in embarrassment. He will definitely come anyway, because he noticed these information first and reminded me. That's okay, will the three of us be enough? Enough. Andrela nodded. Aren't there not many people in the Immortal Palace? If you want to snatch things from them and the Demon Elephant sect, it's not enough if you are weak. If I hadn't obtained your Tiangang Ba Li, it happens to be particularly suitable for me, and my strength has greatly increased, so I won't have this idea. That's true. I hope that person is as strong as you said. I will definitely not let you down. In addition, I have already circled a location in advance. The people from the Demon Elephant Gate have entered in advance. When they come out, we will go directly to intercept them, Andrela affirmed. There are still not enough manpower. Break the limit. Garen frowned slightly, and suddenly a person's name flashed in his mind. Maybe he'll be interested. Who? Whitebird Holy Fist. Andrela's eyes also lit up. Didn't he have a split personality and seal his fist? Are you sure he will come out? Do you think I went in this time for a simple sparring session? Garen pointed to the injury on his chest. But what do you mean by his split personality? There are three personalities in Palasha: good, evil, and indifference. These three personalities are good at dealing with different situations. Good generally deals with harmless negotiations and discussions. Evil deals with enemies, sneak attacks, or people who are plotting. The second, indifference, is his strongest personality, is also his original true personality. Good and evil are actually two mental methods that he separated during his boxing practice. This was the first time Garen heard this statement. It seems that when I fought him, he was not at his strongest. He frowned. It was obvious that Palasha was in a good state at that time. After roughly communicating about the steps, the two immediately began to collect the relevant information obtained by Andrela. Garen also began to confirm the authenticity of this matter. As expected, there are indeed obvious signs of this. It's just that no one has noticed it before. After getting the confirmation, the two people brought the information, and the first thing they thought of was to find Palasha, the Whitebird Holy Fist. Skylark Mountains. Garen led Andrela and, accompanied by two men in white, met Palasha again, who was grilling fish fillets. The bonfire at night is extremely conspicuous in the dark mountain forest. Palasha sat alone by the campfire, his gray and white clothes turned red by the red firelight. He looked up at Garen and the others who were approaching with torches. The group of people stopped not far from the bonfire. Two men in white bowed to Palasha quietly and then turned and left. Garen was left standing there wearing white cloaks. You're here again, Palasha said lightly, then lowered his head and looked carefully at the grilled fish fillets. Some of the milky white meat of the fish fillets had been grilled to a brown color, and the alluring aroma of meat came out. Garen walked over to himself, sat down by the campfire, and motioned for Andrela to do the same. I'm not here to fight with you this time. He glanced at the grilled fish fillets on the fire and said calmly, there are some things that may interest you. Palasha glanced at him suspiciously, and then his eyes immediately fell on Andrela on the side. Interesting, something that interests me. His tone was not as kind as when Garen met him for the first time, but there was a hint of coldness in it. Tell me. With a smile on her face, Andrela quickly took out a stack of prepared information from under her cloak and handed it over. Palasha took it and started flipping through it casually. He was very calm at first, but later, his expression became slightly strange. For a long time, he put down the information in his hand and stopped thinking. Soon, he opened his eyes again and stared at Andrela coldly and calmly. I have seen Garen's strength, and I recognize his qualifications to cooperate with me. But what about you? If you are not strong enough, what price will you have to pay for cooperation? Andrila suddenly smiled. My strength is indeed not as good as yours for the time being. But since I brought this up, I have naturally considered it. He took out a small bottle from under his cloak, which was a transparent cylindrical glass bottle with silver-white liquid in it. A viscous liquid. I have this. At critical moments, I can delay even the masters of Immortal Palace for a while. After all, my strength is speed. In addition, a friend of mine needs me to be the intermediary. He is on the same level as you. White sap. I didn't expect you could still find such an almost extinct resource. But have you considered my question? Palasha still answered indifferently. Of course, Andrila nodded. The places we are going to are all inaccessible places. Even if they are demonized, there is nothing they can't defeat. Some of them are for you to kill. I need time to ensure the authenticity of this information, at least a month. Palasha pondered for a while, but why do you think I have to join you instead of going out to search independently after knowing this situation? There is not only one immortal Fran in the Immortal Palace. Garen suddenly spoke from the side. The scene suddenly calmed down and no one spoke anymore. There was only the faint whirring sound of a burning campfire. Okay, let's leave first. You can send someone to deliver the reply to this address in a month. Galen threw a white card to Palasha. Then he got up first and walked in the direction he came from. Andrila also stood up. The white cloaks of the two people gradually disappeared under the dark night, and were swallowed up by the darkness. Next up is the Nightmare King. According to Andrila's information, his friend was on vacation recently. The specific location is on a private island not far from Shi Yanzhou. It was up to Andrila to contact him personally on this matter, and Garen still had his own matters to deal with. The secret method is likely to be related to the legendary magician's bloodline secret method, which is likely to have a lot to do with breaking through the limits. However, although Garen is interested, his main focus now is on improving his secret martial arts. Wow! A basin of icy cold water poured down from Galen's head. He stood in the martial arts arena of Maplewood Manor, wearing only a pair of white boxer shorts, and his white skin was covered with a light golden grease. The originally strong and fierce figure looked even more fierce and menacing under the reflection of the oily light. Look at the skill bar below your field of vision. There is an extra 3 stars on the top, and there is a new gold statue on the back. Garen scanned the potential points he had accumulated for so long. He had been useless for so long. Golden swordsmen are constantly generating potential and flowing into their brains day and night. The current potential has once again exceeded 25 points. However, at this time, the golden sword seed was clearly on the verge of drying up, and the potential flow coming from it was getting less and less. Garen sorted out all his main attributes and skills. Power 2.66, Agility 2.72, Physical Fitness 2.65, Intelligence 2.53, Potential 2596%. My Woo. Colossus Mutation, Explosion, Top Layer, Skin hardened by 1 level, Iron Body, Chi and Blood stabilized by 1 level, Boulder Skill. Flame Claw, the 2nd level, a total of 4 levels. The flames are strengthened by 1 level, 3 levels in total, derived from the Red Jade Palm secret martial arts training method of Qian Gong. Golden Image Skill, whether the entry level, a total of 5 levels, can be integrated into the Giant Elephant secret martial arts. The 3 techniques of Golden Image Kung Fu, Iron Image Kung Fu, and Bronze Statue Kung Fu are considered by Garen to be excellent sect control techniques. Of course he won't fuse. Standing in the middle of the field, Galen asked his servant to carry the bucket down, and everyone retreated. It wasn't until the surroundings fell silent that he focused his attention on the skill bar again. 25 potential points are enough to push a secret martial arts to the top. The Golden Image skill is more than a step ahead of the Giant Elephant secret martial arts. The Giant Elephant secret martial arts is only a third-rate secret martial arts, although it has been superimposed with too many enhancements. It was also I have practiced to an unprecedented level, but I still can't achieve the strongest effect. Although the supporting fighting skills are the key to let me enter the fighter level, the power is still too weak and the level is still too low. It's a big disadvantage to use this as the main body. He stared at the golden statue column. Through this period of continuous soaking in medicinal water and smearing his body with medicinal oil, he finally successfully mastered the Golden Image skill. The Golden Image Kung Fu is a major sect that once competed with the Red Sand Sword. Even if the technique is not as good as the Red Sand Sword, at least it won't be any worse. He recalled the information about this secret martial art again. Golden Image skill, it is extremely effective in resisting blows. Build strength, build fitness, and build resilience. The Dachin is integrated from the inside out, not afraid of penetrating power, and has super recovery power. It has a strong immune effect against various toxins. Weaknesses, the body is heavy and dense. The advantages of the Golden Image skill are obvious. It has an extra resilience compared to the Giant Elephant secret martial arts. Even the mutated Giant Elephant secret martial arts cannot match the effect of his great achievements. This also made Garen determined to switch to the secret martial arts as his main practice. After sorting out his thoughts, he took a deep breath. Such a drastic change would definitely bring big changes to his body, and he had to be prepared. His eyes immediately focused on the newly introduced Golden Image skill. A little bit of potential is gone. Correspondingly, the Golden Image skill has been upgraded to the first level. 2 points disappeared, and the golden statue had 2 levels of power. 2 more points disappeared, 3 levels. This time, the 5 potential points disappeared and went directly to the 4th level. Finally, 5 points of potential disappeared. Finally, after spending 15 potential points, the Golden Image skill was finally completed, reaching the top 5 levels. Garen stood quietly, watching the Dachin symbol behind the golden statue in the skill column gradually solidify, and at the same time, he was ready for everything. At the moment when the symbol was completely solidified, there was a bang in Garen's mind, and a huge stream of cool air surged out, radiating continuously towards all the limbs of his body. For a moment, the body felt as if the blood vessels were filled with countless cold water, but strangely, a large stream of hot blood surged out of the heart, and the two mixed and flowed with each other. It was almost the same as when the bursting boxing technique started to undergo radical advancement, and the transformation of the body achieved a strong stimulating reaction. Once again, Garen's body showed a strange situation, with the left body appearing red and the right body appearing white. Extraordinarily clear. 2 opposite things, hot and cold, were intertwined and constantly flowing in Garen's body. A sticky substance is constantly secreted by the body and covers the surface of the body. It's like there's a layer of glue on the outside. 15 potential points directly pushed the Golden Image skill to the top 5th level of Dachin.